Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, we teach a robot how to love. Hello and welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little chunk of a game together and then we talk about how it makes us feel. Today we'll be wrapping up our discussion of Persona 3, except we have one more episode where we literally wrap up Persona 3. But this one, we finished playing the game.
Woo! Yeah, boy.
Yes.
About fucking time.
I am so excited for it. Before we get started, I am Sam Allman.
I am Koromaru's human incarnate, Michael Rodriguez. Hi.
I'm Mitsuru's favorite guy. I'm Elias, Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm number one Junpei stan, Michael Webben, who goes by Spiffle here and online.
Did you say stan? Wow, we're making the RPG Book Club very gay.
Oh,
and I'm okay with that.
so gay.
That's a hip-hop term. That's like Eminem invented that.
That's a
not
hip-hop
gay
thing.
I mean, it can be a gay thing too, but it came from Eminem.
Yeah, but like I mean, when was I the only time that I've ever heard a assumingly straight person say it was you, like literally 30 seconds ago. I've never heard anybody else.
I typically hear it in gay
Well,
circles.
I learned something today.
Real quick, Michael, I say this every day at work. I'm like,
but you also watch RuPaul's Drag Race, so I figured that you just picked it up. You know, I was like, maybe he just picked it up somewhere.
They have never
Sam
said
is
Stan
gay.
on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Sam is gay by proxy.
Yes, they do.
So.
They have never said Stan.
Yes,
that is
they
a hip-hop
have.
thing straight up, I
Yes,
promise.
they have. Yes, they have. They've said it in
Thank
Untucked. I've watched
Persona
each
3.
season.
This isn't RuPaul's Best
Look,
Friend Race.
I'm
This
just
is
saying,
Persona
if
3
you
Best
can't
Friend Race.
stand Junpei, how the hell are you going to stand anybody else? Can I get an answer here?
Oh, shit.
Wow, we just gentrified RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, that's what just happened.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and
This
jump
is a good
in.
start to this episode.
We're really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the coolest.
All right, Spiffle, you have the first note, so you want to kick us off on our discussion.
So, when we last left our heroes, they had just made a very serious decision, and then they go straight to bed, like you do when you make a big decision. And you wake up the next day, and there's no slow build or anything. You wake up in the morning, and you're in your room, and it's Sunday. So I think they must have timed it this way on purpose. It's really nice. So the first day you get after all that plot stuff is Sunday. And like most Sundays, I go to my TV because I want to watch the TV show and buy my Tanaka's whatever bullshit item. And all of a sudden, Tanaka is like, hey guys, this week your special item is, I actually forget what the item is. I forgot to take a picture of it, but it's like a special badge that'll save you when the apocalypse happens. And also I'll throw in a free like underground like bunker survival, like it's like a survival kit. And then you don't get to actually buy it because before you get a chance, he's like, oh, and they're all sold out. Thanks, come again next time. So like, and the thing, so like turns out there's a big plot thing that's about to happen, but this is the first you hear of it. So you're just like, wait, why is he selling an end of the world kit on the television? And then you go downstairs and immediately figure out why.
Yeah, I almost never like I've done the TV like buy shit from Tanaka thing once. So
He sells good stuff, man.
I did it when they told me I could. And then I always forget because it's like, all right, it's Sunday. You promised you'd go hang out with Yuko, or it's Sunday. What do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I'm going to go and do some around the world social links, and I always
I'm gonna
forget.
come right back in because I got fucking nothing to do.
Seriously.
Oh, so that gets to a point. If you look in our notes, if you, the listeners at your house, have access to our behind the scenes, look at our notes. Most days of this month are empty because I couldn't even do social links because I had already maxed everybody that isn't at school, and it just gives you like winter break. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just like sit around and play with my dick all day, I guess.
If you're behind this,
It's a very
if
boring
you're
Trying at
someone
least.
unrelated to this podcast looking at our notes, fucking quit hacking our notes, please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
Please.
Yeah, one thing I actually enjoyed this week because a lot of my social links had gotten reversed due to neglect. I actually didn't realize that non-romantic social links could get reversed due to neglect.
Oh,
I thought I didn't realize that could happen. So this week I just went to the shrine every day and fixed all my social links.
So Tuxedo Ken actually looked that up. Apparently, you have a month for girls if you're playing a guy. I don't know about the PSP version, but if you're playing a guy in FES, you have a month for girls to continue building up that social link, or it'll get reversed. You have 2 months for guys.
Oh, well, that explains why I never talked to the French guy.
Yeah, you can neglect a guy for
months.
2 months before his will go reverse. And then at that point, you've got to work on it again. I actually found Yuko at one point and I was like, oh, look, you're really angry. And she's like,
Yep.
It seems like we're drifting apart. And I'm like, I've talked to you once.
Yeah, the process of getting them back to like you again is actually really interesting, except I bypassed it by doing the shrine because I didn't have anything else to do. But yeah, you have to talk to them multiple days, in succession, and it doesn't use time. You just have to remember to do it a couple days in a row. And then finally they're like, okay, we're cool now. It's interesting.
Yeah. So, the main plot that we'll talk about for this month is basically teaching Aigis how to love. The other stuff is all at the end.
Cards Against Humanity card come to life, teaching a robot to love.
Oh yeah.
But so I didn't. So I knew from looking at a guide, because I've been looking at a guide since I think May of this game. But I knew that Aigis could interfere with your female social links, and it just happened to be exactly a month after I went out with Yuka for one time that I went out with Aigis for the first time. And so I thought that that was just that writ large of I haven't, because I'm talking to Aigis, Yuka is now mad at me. And so I even wrote in my notes, I was like, oh, that's really cool that it did this, and it didn't, because Sam guesses at mechanics. But I say it with such conviction, oh yeah, there's totally romance points or something.
You're so confident in your wrongness. It's great.
You're like, well, with me, and I'm hearing you, and I feel like Naruto, because I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll act like I do. Believe it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, believe it.
Believe it.
Believe it. So you start January, and pretty much everywhere in the game has a new theme in January. Tartarus does, the dorm does, the school does, everything does. So I'm going to drop in a medley of sorts, and basically just do 30 seconds for each track.
Yes. Sad music medley.
It's so good. This is the best music in the game. Is throughout January. I swear. It's
Oh, it's just. I love how it's totally that FF6, FF7, other games as well thing, where it's okay, the plot's serious now. Now the field music is really depressing all the time.
Yeah.
That way you know that the stuff is serious now.
I love that shit.
It's great.
I freaking love it. I'm a big music person in video games. Like, I have a whole video game playlist on my Spotify.
Spoofy.
I'm gonna call it Spoofy forever. I'm a Game Grumps
me too.
nerd. Yeah, I have like this. It's got like 1,500 plus songs on it, and it's just like a huge list of video game songs. I am such a sucker for leitmotifs, and so if you don't know what leitmotifs are, that's like a recurring theme in a song.
It's literally every song in Persona 3.
Yeah.
Now that I've beaten the game and I've seen the true credits that don't just have the Tartarus music over them, and I see the true credits and I hear the actual full version of Burn My Dread, I'm like, oh, every song in the game is just a different chunk from Burn My Dread.
Yeah,
okay,
it's great.
Like this is cool, because I kept being like, oh, this is a mashup of Tartarus and Burn My Dread. No, it's two different parts of Burn My Dread.
Yeah,
like
but you've got like this depressed version, the depressed song, the sad song, but with like a beat on it. So it's like, you know the end is coming. You know the end is coming, but it's also like you're getting pumped for it. And then the music for the school is different, and it really gets the mood going for the final month, and you really feel that tension building up.
And the 3 different songs, but they're all pretty similar in terms of like mood, and they all have like piano and some noodly synth. So it's like you're listening to this sad piano music for like that is the only music you're listening to for 8 hours, 10 hours of gameplay. It rules. It's so heavy.
Yeah. What it is. And I noticed this because it's my favorite game of all time, and I notice it everywhere, including in a certain Drake song. But it's the Legend of Dragoon pause music. Like, it is straight up the pause theme from Legend of Dragoon. It's that vibe, where it's just like you have a heavy drum and bass, but it's just like piano and chill on top of it. And that's the whole vibe I got for this whole month, and I loved it.
So good.
So
eventually you do go to school.
Eventually you do go to school. You have winter break, and I didn't do a single thing for winter break.
Nothing.
I think I futilely started because I had already taken notes on Mamoru because I knew I wouldn't have time to do Mamoru, but I think I went and I talked to him anyways to give me something to do for 8 days of the game.
I did actually start something. Yeah, I started the Gourmet King finally.
Okay.
I started talking to Fat Guy in the mall.
That's
cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Cool.
Remind me about the Gourmet King when we get to the Spirit Bomb part of the end. But okay, so actual first day of school. Well, first day after a winter break. After school, Junpei comes up and talks to you, and you go to the rooftop, and he's like, hey, we've never actually talked. We've just been like rivals. And I was like, you've been your own rival against me? I really don't care about you.
I don't fucking care.
Saying y'all are rivals is kind of an insult to you.
He calls the guy, he calls the male protagonist a rival.
Yeah.
In the version with the female protagonist, it's really weird. Again, with like my issue with Junpei is that he's like a roller coaster. I could never date Junpei. Like, fuck that. It's just like he's like so problematic, and then he follows it up with like, hey, I know we've been doing this for a while, and I know that I call you cutie, or I pick on you, or I make jokes about you sometimes, but I trust you with my life. And I know that these are the jokes that I make, but I really mean that. And I just want to say that, like, we're going to be friends after all this, right? And you're like, Junpei, what the fuck?
He's fucking male
You're like,
Yukari. He's fucking
you're like
Yukari.
Junpei. I like looked at this dialogue, and I'm just like, if I were there in person, I'd be like, what is your issue? Like, talk to somebody about your problems, Junpei.
See a therapist.
You don't get to just like take a sentimental moment on a rooftop and be like, hey, we've never been up here. Also, I'm sorry for being a piece of shit. You're like, what? January was the month where I spent a lot of time in Iwai Todai Station, not talking to the old people, really, but eating a lot of burgers to get my courage up so I can start my social link with Ken.
Oh my goodness.
I had to eat a lot of burgers for it.
Yeah, I had to eat a lot of burgers. I was really busy, and I was reflecting on it, and I'm like, it sounds like me. This is exactly what I would do. I would eat a ton of fucking burgers before the world ends.
Hey, the world's going to end on January 31st, and you're like, that gives me 31 days to gorge myself.
Like who cares? You can't get heart disease.
Yeah,
like,
really. I'm like, I got a lot.
I am gonna drink
right?
Yeah,
that's me.
I'm gonna
that's
drink
exactly
myself
how that worked out
practically
for
to
me.
death every day, and I'm gonna eat a fuck ton of burgers.
Yeah.
Like this is my life now.
Precisely. So I don't know. That's what Junpei had said to me. So at the end of the day, Junpei had seemed to kind of get over. Like I think I like this version of Junpei better because I forgot that he called the main character a rival. Like, gosh, I'm so glad I didn't play the male version. Jesus.
Yeah.
He still says that he's glad he's met us and we'll be friends forever at the end of it. But like he starts it by being like, oh, we were kind of rivals, but like we're friends now, and I finally trust you.
You get more insight into how problematic Junpei is from the start too. So you kind of like, I don't know. It's easier to see the times when he's not as problematic, I think.
Yeah.
Just because we don't get as good insight into that until like later on in the game, like,
True.
oh wow, Junpei, you're actually a piece of shit.
I mean, yeah. I think that this is a really good scene just because it showed him from the female's perspective as kind of like getting over himself. And this dialogue is cool, right? Persona is a game about the masks that you put on for the people that you speak with. And even the director said, I mentioned this to Sam a few weeks ago, but I didn't mention it to Eli or Mike. But
wow, leaving us out of the loop.
I just did. I wanted to save it because it was good. But the director said like
every week we have a second podcast where it's just us not responding to our web chats, just like yelling at each other about Persona.
Yeah, that's like the BTS.
I think we need to make a channel of work.
The director said that this was a game about showing your different personalities to different people, and that in many ways, even though we only see Yukari and Junpei with Hermes and gosh, I forgot Yukari's Isis.
Yukari is Isis, yeah.
Hermes, and I know his is not Hermes anymore, but I like Hermes better.
Atlas. Or no, the Atlas is Akihiko, sorry.
Oh, then I know that he was saying like they show you that persona because that's who they are to you, not necessarily who they are to everybody else. So right? So like whereas it's possible that like, this main character is unique in that they're able to wield different personas. The idea is really that anybody can do that, but who they are to you is what you need them to be specifically. And so I guess that kind of speaks in a really meta way of how like the roles work in this game, especially with like Yukari having like a more of a like supportive persona because that's the type of friend that she is to you, as well as
Trismegistus. That is who Hermes turns into.
Boy, that's
what a terrible name.
I know.
God, what a terrible
that
name.
is a mouthful.
I like this. I like this scene just because, the writer stuck to him. The writer stuck to him responding differently to two different people. In that he sounds a little bit more over himself with the female, and he just sounds like he moderately realized that the world is not about him with the male.
I also agree with everything you just said. That's really cool thoughts. I want to add one other little thing, which I think that at least in the Fest version, I think Junpei's big transformation. Well, it's not a huge transformation, like you said. It's more minor, but it's not just him doesn't revolve around him. A big part of it is him learning to be vulnerable. Because, I think the change is when he admits that he's scared. So now he's asking you up here, and he's literally just talking. He's literally just like wants to talk with you on the roof because he's worried, and
Right.
and that's not something that that he would have done at the beginning of the game. He wouldn't have said, "Hey, can we just chat?" Because I'm
That's
not happy. I'm really worried about what's going to happen.
That's true. Yeah.
So
That was his breakthrough moment.
quick side note on the Trismegistus thing. I looked this up on the Persona 3 wiki. On the history, or I'm sorry, on the Megami Tensei wiki, but it has a whole bunch of, Persona stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
It says, in the history, Hermes Trismegistus is quoted as the founder and pioneer of alchemy, astrology, and magic. The origin of the name Trismegistus, meaning thrice greatest, refers to the three subjects that he was pioneer of. Hermes Trismegistus is said to be the combined knowledge of the Greek god Hermes with that of the Egyptian god Thoth.
So
I
you
just
say
thought that was...
Junpei is like, I'm just like Hermes.
So that makes sense. That makes sense why he's the magician, because he uses a lot of physical attacks. So I've never known why he was the magician persona, but Hermes, long last name, makes sense.
No, that's good.
Yeah,
but that's good detail. Look at that lore. Look at the consistency.
Right.
I really appreciate, as someone who is very interested in Hellenic polytheism. I'm not a practitioner of it, but I have a lot of interest in it because of my parents and because of just all the stuff that I have gotten into. I just think it's really interesting to look into that side of Persona and to see the various. I feel bad using the word mythology, but I'm not sure what the correct term would be to, but incorporating that in the game itself. I think that they've done a pretty good job of putting that out there.
True.
Yeah,
I agree. Next, what happens though? He says like, "Oh, he's met me, and he hopes that we're friends forever." I go like, "You bet it, best friends." And he's like,
yes.
yeah, he's like,
Go
"Oh
with
right,
it.
yeah, I'm a Super Ranger." And so I guess tells us though after, I forget what happens. Are we like on our way back home?
So this is when you can talk your social link with Aigis for the first time. So the reason you don't recognize this is you didn't get to make love to Aigis. I mean, touch her awesome button.
I mean, you're essentially fucking a robot. Let's be real here.
So you talk with Aigis, and so I realized, because Aigis' social link was added for Fess. It wasn't in Persona 3, which is why she's not 21 for her Arcana. She's just a different 20. So Judgment and Eon are both 20.
Maybe I just missed her social link. I'm gonna check this now.
It's pretty obvious. I think you probably just don't have it. You're probably right.
Yeah, but
about having it.
But so you see, like, the plot line of her realizing how important the main character is to her is still an important plot line. So throughout this month, you get like the things you learn in Social Link and then things you learn in just like cutscenes, and they like didn't line up all the way for me. And so it was just like she makes a revelation to me in like a cutscene that I'm like, yeah, but I already know that because like we went on a date yesterday and you told me this. But like, thanks for saying it again, I guess. The same thing happened in December with Fuka, because she tells me that she loves me on Christmas, and then my next date with her was her being scared to say that she even liked me, and I'm like, okay.
Whatever, I guess.
Man, I totally see how that can happen, but I guess weirdly enough, that like never happened to me, because I just hit that social link real hard. Like every time
I hit that.
I only did anything that wasn't Aigis when she wasn't available. Mm-hmm. So for me, it all just like dovetailed really nicely. But that is funny. They're just like, oh, I hope the player does this.
Yeah.
So that it all makes sense.
Well, I had tried to talk to Aigis a few months back, and it actually told me in the game, like, she doesn't understand human emotion enough yet.
She's not a real boy yet.
Yeah, that's the joke that I kept making, because Tuxedo Ken has been watching me play instead of watching the Let's Play, and so we've been joking about it together. And like throughout January, the theme was Aigis wants to be a real boy.
Yeah, so the first date you have with Aigis is real simple. She just asked to stop by the shrine on the way home, and when she's there, she remarks that Koromaru's feelings over that he was going to protect his owner overrid the fact that his master had already died, and she's curious about the relation between fact and feelings because she kind of feels the same. She knows that she can't protect us, but she's going to try anyways. And that was all for the first date. It gets much better along there. I love that Michael gets to like experience this for the first time because we all just did it and he didn't get to.
Yeah, because no, you can't date the female protagonist. You can't date, I guess, as the female protagonist. So no, I'm salty.
They make a point of saying that Aigis isn't a girlfriend. Like she can interfere with other girlfriends.
She's not gonna get.
She can't go reverse. She can't get mad at you if you.
There's no requirements for her, and she doesn't get mad at you for dating another girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be like Tanaka, where you just had to talk to her 10 times. There was a point where I went on a date with her, but it was just like your relationship with her could become stronger soon. Yeah.
So relationship points are not a thing, but social link points are a thing. And the guide I've been using tells you how many points each answer gives you. And the
I should have used that.
The seventh date, none of the answers give you any point, and you have to have at least 1 point to unlock the other one. So that flower shop date is programmed in there. Don't know why. All the other ones, if you answer right, you have way more than in enough. But for that one, they want you to have one date where you just go to the flower shop. It was weird.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I will admit, I didn't use a guide for social links at all until this month. But it's like, look, I only got so many days. I want to max Aigis. I also have one. I had like 2 others at like 8, and I'm like, and I want to, at least hang out with Yukari a little bit. So for this last month, every time I was doing a social link, I did have a guide up. Although 99% of the time, it's like obvious what the best choice is. But I was like, you know what, I'll cheat a little bit because I just want to make sure that I'm able to, that I don't screw something up and don't resolve this plot line before the deadline, because that'd be dumb.
Yeah.
So on the 12th is the next time that you get some real plot, and we all go to Hagakure ramen, and Aki is finally making good on the bet he made back in Yakushima, where he was
about fucking time. It's
I
like
literally
6
forgot
goddamn
about
months.
it, but luckily Junpei didn't.
Yukari asks me, she's like, "Do you want the special or something else?" And then you can choose between the special or the special or the regular, and I chose the special, and they all got the specials. Like each and every one of them got the specials. I'm like, bitch, they were making Aki pay.
So Akihiko, I love it.
That reminds me of one of my favorite times I've taken a friend out for his birthday. I was like, dude, your birthday's on me. You can get whatever I want. So he started looking down the menu, but his finger wasn't going down like where the words were. They were going down where the number was. And he's like, I'll have a T-bone steak and shrimp, please.
What a bitch.
That's funny as hell.
That would have been me, though, because I'm a cheap ass. So absolutely,
absolutely.
Don't take me out unless if you're prepared to pay for that lobster. Thank you.
So that's basically what they all do to Akihiko, yeah.
Yeah. So because she's not eating, Aigis notices a magazine article titled "The Emergence of a Messiah: The Charismatic One Speaks," and inside of it, it's talking about a cult, which we had kind of skipped over at the beginning. But like everyone's been like the rumor girls, the NPCs you talk to, just like a paper airplane coming out of nowhere just says cult on it.
Yeah, like
it's a flyer.
All anyone does is talk about this cult.
It's like literally a flyer with the cult. Advertising just flying in the air. That's what happens.
Yeah.
We're a cult. Guess what? We're a cult.
Yep.
So this magazine article is talking about the cult, and it has a picture of their leader, and it's Takaya, our very own hipster Jesus. And
turns out he doesn't just look like Jesus; he is going to like be Jesus. Actually,
yeah. Basically, he even says like later on. I won't bring it up right now because it's later on.
Yeah.
But
He uses
Yeah.
some super Jesus-y
But
language.
the analogy is there. The character analogy is there. It's definitely
absolutely.
intentional.
And I'm glad I called it from the start.
And,
Right.
and like he knows it too.
We all
Like-
oh yeah, we all do it.
So obviously Strega is behind the cult. There's some mentions of how. Wait, no, that's later. Sorry, there's a lot of cult talk this month. It gets confused. So the article says, soon a savior will descend upon this world to break the chains that bind us and lift us to new heights. This great being is Nyx. I've beheld her glory, and she has blessed me with power beyond belief. In Nyx there is no pain, no suffering. And everyone's like, how the hell do they know about Nyx, and how the hell are they so wrong? And then in the article, Takaya says that others with Nyx's powers are to blame for the recent tragedies, and a revolution is coming, and he's leaving and going to prepare for the second coming. And all of us are like, the only place he could leave is Tartarus. We should go to Tartarus and rough him up a little.
So I wanna say right here, I actually spent all of January 1st in Tartarus because I started out January at level 171. So,
Lord.
because I didn't know that Tartarus was going to be this important. I thought it was just like, go grind shit out, and then the bosses are important.
Wow.
But no.
You
the end
poor
boss,
thing.
I know.
Well,
I
the
know.
good news is by this point there's nothing to do in the evening, so there's no penalty for going
so-
a lot. It takes forever.
I took off. I took last Tuesday and Wednesday off of work because I needed a break. It was just like I had been through some stressful shit. I just needed some time off. And then I found out, oh look, I'm gonna have to go through all of fucking Tartarus.
my
So I
God.
spent Wednesday doing nothing but Tartarus. It was mind numbing.
Yeah.
And I went from 171 to 254.
Well
and I
done.
was like, all right, I'm fucking done. And then I got a rude awakening later in the month, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But Wednesday was Tartarus Day. And I'm glad that I went through it when I did because it let me get through other shit quicker later on. But just like, holy shit, I'm glad I'm cheating at this game.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I was not able to cheat in this game, so I spent the day before the week that we recorded last episode, I cheated and went into Tartarus ahead of time because I knew I didn't have cheat codes, and I knew that I had to get to the top of Tartarus. So on the night of the first, I got all the way up to the last one, but the last guy kicked my butt. So
Same.
I then grinded pretty much the rest of this week to go in and finally beat the last guy, and then also I had to reload my save and fight the final boss about 3 times. So
Yeah.
Oh, 3 times.
So
Yeah.
painful.
Rip.
So painful.
Rip,
So
rip,
yeah,
rip,
this
rip.
was
But we'll get to that
grind
later.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess notes that the whole city is afraid. Yuka says that she doesn't understand why they believe this nonsense. Junpei, of course, makes a comment saying says no wonder they're all scared. We're all gonna die. I guess his response reminds you that she's a robot, and that she's just like, yeah, things die. She's like, I don't get it. She's like, all life ends. Like that has nothing to do with Nyx or any of this happening.
That's what you living things do. You fucking die.
Yeah, that's pretty much how she feels about it. Everyone at the table agrees that Nyx, defeating Nyx is the goal, and if that Strega is in the way, that they'll go ahead and handle it. The Olivia Popet. Junpei says, and we'll need our energy. 1 Hagakure bowl, please.
He finds a freaking another one.
Yeah, Junpei's stomach is my spirit animal. I mean, if there's anything that I do want to do with Junpei, it's eat food. Because he knows.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Dude knows what's up.
Then the next day on the 13th, I guess asks you to go to the rooftop, which is the one thing that I do experience with Igus. And she's experienced a lot of really odd human sentimental moments. I think ever since she saw Ryoji, ever since she's been, she saw Ryoji, she's been experiencing just a shock of different things that's come to her. She comments about how she loves the view, and how she had never been able to enjoy these types of views before. But she feels that, I think she even asks you, like, are you enjoying it, or how it feels, or something like that. And I respond saying, like, it's beautiful, or something like that. And she says, like, I'm so glad I feel the same. It's really weird because also throughout this month, people call you to make plans, and I'm just like, Akihiko, this is really inappropriate. I don't.
So, they're only inviting you to do plans because you studied like a loser instead of going on social links. I had maxed everybody, so nobody wanted to talk to me except for Fuka and Igus. So
this is true.
That's on you.
That's true. That's fair. That's very fair.
Speaking of Fuka, it was right around this point that I ran into something that I didn't think was possible. She calls me on like a Tuesday and is like, "Hey, do you want to hang out on Sunday?" And I'm like, "Sure." But then because I had stacks on stacks on stacks of priestess personas, I maxed her out before that Saturday came. So she called me on Saturday and was like, "I'm really nervous to like go out on like a real date with you. Can we reschedule?" So like because the Sunday dates are to, it's an extra way to get relationship points to level up your social link, so you don't need it because she was maxed. And so it was a really cute thing that I'm glad it worked out that way, so that
that's adorable.
It's cute writing and it's convenient for you.
Oh yeah. Then I was like, all right, let's go to the shrine and turn all of these gross gravies into some somas.
Yeah. If you think about it from like a real life point of view, though, it's like, it's like, hey, since we're already really close and we're already like, boyfriend and girlfriend, actually I don't want to hang out. And your response is like, well, no, but then your response is like, oh, sweet, good, I got other stuff to do. Like, cool, bye.
I mean, that's like how all my video game relationships go at this point. It's like, I get to max level with you, I don't have to talk with you ever again.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I can focus on other shit now. Like, I've got me stuff to do. This is Eli's day. I've gotta, like, I can't,
go.
I don't have time for it. Yeah, I just gotta go.
Bye.
So, like, the next time you hang out with Igus, you run into a bunch of dogs.
And I love it. There's so many dogs.
I know. They're all pissed off at you. And I immediately was like, oh my god, these are Koromaru's friends.
Yeah, I was afraid that something bad had happened to Koromaru, and they instantly are just like, we're mad at you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Whatever. You can be mad.
Right,
You can be mad at me. As long as it's not Koromaru.
We've been basically abusing this poor dog because he agreed to join us. It's whatever. But they're afraid that we're hurting him. They've seen that he's been injured, and that definitely sucks. It's weird that Koromaru is going out and hanging out with these dogs after he's been going to Tartarus with us, but whatever.
It's cute.
He's got his
also,
own
like,
life.
what is he telling them? Like, this part is supposed to be a secret. Like,
Koromaru's like, oh, I fell down the stairs.
I ran into a pole. I'm sorry.
Yes.
They say that they love me.
That is absolutely not to make fun of anyone who's been in that situation.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Just
Good jokes.
So I apologize. That was really insensitive of me.
You guys
Sorry.
got your social link with Koromaru all the way up, though, right?
We don't get one.
There was
We
a
don't get one.
social link with Koromaru. What?
Oh, wow. I guess we can talk about that now that we're on the subject of Koromaru. Yeah. Very frequently at night, actually, when you get Koromaru a few weeks after, you come home at evening and then you see a little exclamation point over his head and you're like, what the fuck? I can't do anything. And then you're able to take him out for a little walk.
Okay,
So we can take them for walks, but we don't get a social link out of it.
Yeah,
I did it every
get
single night
anything.
because the doggy needs to pee. But
Yeah,
we get items out of it.
Yeah.
We don't get social link.
Yeah,
Tons of homunculuses.
He gives you like lucky, it's funny, he gives you lucky charms.
Yeah.
He gives you lucky charms so that you could give to your friends,
We were,
for
we were
social
joking
links.
about that
I was just
too.
like, oh, that's funny. But with Koromaru, you get a social link, and his a strength, I believe, and at the end of it, he gives you his old collar.
That's cute.
And you're like, and it doesn't really make sense, but you're like, is this for me? And then he's like looking happy, and then you're like, am I your comrade now, buddy? And then he looks happy again, and then it just says that you have like an unbreakable bond with Koromaru. So that's where I was spending a lot of my time.
Okay,
his
the
social link is fucking hard because you have to take him out so much.
The strength,
so fucking
the strength
much.
arcana, the strength arcana in Fess. If you're playing as the guy protagonist, I would assume it's a, I mean, it
Yuko.
may not be the same. It's Yuko, and in Fess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't get Yuko.
So, so you find out that these are all Koto-chan's friends, as I predicted before it was even said. Because they're all Shiba Inus.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, all the Shiba Inus hang out together.
That's cute.
They're all super
The Shiba
cute.
Club.
I'm not a big dog person, but Shiba Inus are adorable.
They're my favorite.
They're super cute. I might get one if I ever decide I want to
You should
make
be-
that kind of commitment.
We should talk about it because I've owned one before.
Oh, awesome. So I've got 4 cats and a snake. I don't know if I can make that kind of commitment right now.
Goodness.
Yeah, 2 of the cats still hate each other, so we're working on that. So you find out that Koromaru's friends, and they're worried about him because of all the battles. And I guess tries to apologize to them. She tries to explain herself, but then one of them bites her. But she's a robot, so she's got robot hands, and it hurts itself on her, which is really kind of sad.
Yeah.
I cried so hard.
I feel so bad for this doggo. So they it just kind of whimpers and they all run off. And she's like, "Oh, I hope it didn't hurt itself." And it was a really cute Aigis moment because she's like caring more about this dog than herself, which is, if I was in that situation, that's definitely how I would feel. But I've been bitten by dogs before, so I'm like kind of scared of them. She can't really like define herself properly because she's not human. She's not totally robot. She's still got some of those like human elements because of her AI. And so she's somewhere in between. She doesn't really fit anywhere, which is how I feel as a bisexual. But I'm not gay enough. I'm not straight enough. Where the hell do I?
Tell me about it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Is next episode just going to be the bi erasure cast where we just
Please.
talk about it?
Yes.
No, I'm gonna
That'd
come
be
around with like a
awesome.
laser pointer just pointing at the fucking.
All right, now here's where all the problems lie with this. But no, you tell her that no, like she stays, like she's meant to be by your side, and or she says that she's meant to be by your side, and that she won't let that kind of thing affect her. So I think that's really cool. I think that was a really like humanizing, quote unquote, moment for, I guess.
The next one that you hang out with, I guess, because nothing else is happening until we get to the end of the game. You get I guess.
It's Aigis. It's Aigis time.
So even the stuff that happens as cutscenes is about Aigis. So this is Aigis cast for the next 20 minutes. But so the next time you're hanging out with her, there's an old lady that's looking for her cat. The old lady says that the cat is almost as old as I am. An old cat is like 10 years old. If that cat is 60 years old, that is the oldest fucking cat in the world.
There actually I think the actual oldest cat in the world was like 35 or something. I remember reading an article about that a few years ago, which is like
insane.
Holy shit.
Wow, respect.
The oldest cat that I've ever had was 16.
Yeah.
So,
dang.
Like, as a lifetime cat owner, like, I have had cats since the day I was born. My family has had cats. Like, this whole storyline tugged at my heartstrings real bad.
Yeah. So I guess because she's a good human being, she just doesn't know it yet. She asks if she can help find the cat because, and I quote, "What goes around comes around to hit you in the back of the head." She tries like 4 or 5 times to like use an idiom, and it's all wrong, and it's so adorable.
It's adorable.
And it's like, wait, aren't you a robot? Don't you have like memory banks? Like,
why can't you just look it up?
Couldn't you theoretically be able to remember things better than humans can?
Fucking Google that shit. Come on. Google existed in 2009.
You can Google it in your damn head.
And so we checked everywhere and we can't find the cat. So Iga says that her feelings are useless and she feels like feelings aren't working out for her.
Same. Big mood.
Oh, so what I just thought of this. One of the things with I guess making those incorrect idioms, that's a Sailor Moon thing. That's straight up an original Sailor Moon anime thing. Because Sailor Venus used to say shit like, "Oh shit." You know, the whole like pearls before swine, like she'd mess that shit up, and like that was just like one of her things was she would say those incorrect idioms and everybody would be like, I don't think that's actually how that goes. So I appreciated that about her.
Yeah. So the next time we hang out with I guess we are still looking for the cat, and we finally find the cat, and I forget that Igus can talk to dogs and to cats. She just leans over and is like, "Are you Muley-san?" And the cat says yes, and so we take it to the old lady. The old lady mentions how she was so lonely when her cat wasn't with her, and Igus is like, "What is lonely?" And again, I'm like, "You're a robot. Google it in your head. You're fine. You have Wi-Fi."
That's like such a mean thing to say to Igus, who like wants to be your friend. You're like, bitch, just close your
Google
eyes, Google it. You'll figure
Google
it
is
out.
free. Stop making me do emotional labor for you. Like,
Right.
here's my PayPal.
This is also the cat that Elizabeth has a quest to go feed the cat, and you go feed it. And I was honestly like, I was 100% expecting this to be a social link. I was like, I'm gonna feed this cat like 3 times, and then it's gonna start a social link with me, and it's gonna be the Moon Persona, and it's gonna be great, or the Moon Arcana.
So something similar does happen in Persona 4. So if you ever feel like playing that one. I won't say what animal it is, but you do get a similar sort of animal social link that you just feed it.
I know what it is just based on I saw there was a game theory episode.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a very recent one. But yeah, like I was totally expecting this cat to be a social link. But yeah, I was really happy because I had a feeling when they were like, it's a white cat with spots. I'm like, I've seen that fucking cat.
I actually never found the cat for Elizabeth's thing, and I feel bad that I didn't.
You have to go behind the
alley where all the bad boys hang out.
The alleyway, yeah, into it's one of the stations, and I can't remember the name of it.
Port Island Station.
Port Island,
that's it. Yes.
You said where the bad boys are. I'm like, oh, that's at Port Island.
Yeah, and of course that's where a poor kitty hangs out. You know, but like I like to think that the bad boys are all really like nice cat people, and they were like.
That's why. That's why Muley-san hangs out there, is because they feed her.
Yeah, and maybe Muley is also part of Strega. I don't know.
We have Koromaru, they have Muley-san. It's fine. The old lady says that living alone is horrible, and all of the money in the world doesn't fix it. And so then, as we're leaving, Igus is like, "Well, it seems that living, which is her goal, if you." Don't remember from last episode, she said her goal in life is to live. It seems that living is something that you can't do alone, and she knows that she feels better when she's with the main character. And she says she's really hung up on like the fact that she's not squishy. Like she mentions that a lot in her social links.
Yeah, she really does.
And so this is one of the times she was like, if being with people is being close, how can I be close when my body's all hard and rigid? And it's like,
I don't have the proper port for you to plug into.
Like,
that was like the majority of jokes that me and Ken were making while we were playing this together.
Ew. Like,
look, we're a couple. We can make those jokes. It's fine.
So like, I have like I knew that the game was going to make Fuka mad at me if I talked to Igus first, so I did finish up Fuka on like the 2nd of this month or something. Would have to been after the 8th, but that's not important. So like I knew that the game was going to treat her like a girlfriend, but like it's incredibly platonic with Igus, just like with me as a person. So every time you're just like screwing a robot and stuff like that, I'm like, ew, like that's my sister. How dare you?
Well, I grew up with Chobits,
Oh,
so
same.
screwing a robot
yeah.
was like
I remember
second
that.
nature. Yeah.
That was a good manga.
It was so good.
Chobits is so good.
Yeah.
So the next time, speaking of Igus, because that's all we're doing for the rest of the podcast. So the next time you hang out with her, you see the old lady with a young man who I at first thought was grandson. It's confirmed later it's her grandson, and he asks her for money. At
This
first,
kid is a dick.
he's such a dick.
So
I
sad.
thought that this was going to be one of those things. I can't remember. I've seen a bunch of like animes and TV shows that have this trope where the old person is forgetful and some random person says, "Oh hey, I'm your long lost son," and then just like mooches. And I thought that that's what was going on at first. I was like, man, I'm gonna punch this kid, but no, it's her actual grandson.
It's her, yeah.
Which doesn't make it much better because he's still just like, give me your money, old lady.
Around this time, actually, the previous social link that we were talking about a second ago, around this, maybe this is just me and not you guys, but around this time, I was like, oh god, this old lady's gonna die. This old lady, the cat's gonna die, and then the old lady is going to kill herself from depression. Or no, she can't do that old lady thing where it's like, not that happens in real life, but that happens in like literature where it's like, oh, she like lost the will to live or whatever, and then she just died.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, oh god, no,
I was
do
kind
not
of
kill
prepared
this
for
old
that
lady.
as well. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. That's what I thought was going to happen with Bunkichi, because he started off like forgetting that his son was dead, and they never mentioned his Alzheimer's ever again. And so, like, I thought that was going to be something, but it wasn't. So yeah, we meet this little bastard, and Igus runs after him, and he's like, Igus-san? She's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, you're famous. And she's like, okay, cool. When you're alone, do you feel lonely? Like, she just like is like, oh, cool, whatever you were talking about. I have important things to ask.
I'm trying to be a real boy. I don't care about your feelings right now.
Right? Like, it seems like he was like the president of the Igus fan club for the underclassmen, and she's just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care.
I've never encountered this little dipshit in my life, so I don't fucking whatever.
And so she asks the super pointed question of just like, your grandma feels really lonely and she thinks she has no one else, but she has you. Why don't you visit your grandmother? And it's like, get him,
Why
I
don't you
guess.
visit your grandma?
I was gonna
Your brother visits your grandma.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was
good.
Thank you.
I refrained from doing it because I figured it'd be bad. So yeah,
I probably shouldn't either because I'm not Jewish, so I apologize. I'm very, very sorry.
It's all good.
you do it well though.
So the little boy is like, none of your business. And I guess it's like, bonds are important. Sorry. I guess says that bonds are important, and his grandma is slowly losing her bond with him. And she asks him what he thinks it means to live. And he's just like, having fun and partying, bruh. And,
Typical young douchebag.
he's a douche. So he tries to ask Igus out, and she just turns around and is like, oh, I guess we're done here, and leaves. And so then he does the like typical toxic masculinity thing, is like, oh yeah, well, you're just like a slut, go be a slut then if you don't want to date me. And
He's
I hate
a fucking
that kid.
incel.
I hate that
Turns
fucking
out.
kid.
Extremely
He's
incel.
like a 17-year-old incel.
I don't even think that money was for a date. He was like just getting his grandma's money to go see a movie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate him so much. So
Oh, he can go fuck himself.
because like grandmas are the sweetest thing in the world. Like, if you're mean to any
know.
relative, don't be mean to your grandma.
Yeah.
Dude, but
Even if
both
they're
of my
racist.
grandmas, like, yeah, like my dad's mom is like the most amazing person in the world. She is like one of my absolute, like, I look up to her, like, authority figures. My mom's mom, a little more problematic. Not going to talk about that too much, but I still love her. I still respect her as my grandma. She's still a wonderful person, you know, and we may have our differences, but she still cares about me. You know, despite, you know, her disagreements with the way I live. But like Grandmas are the greatest people on
really
earth.
are.
How can you
My
be...
grandmother, I couldn't do that to my grandmother because she would literally beat my ass. So that would not fly in my
There's
household.
that too.
I'm like reading
depending-
through these notes, just like, he's doing what? Girl, not me.
Yeah,
My abuela
depending on
would
your-
beat my ass where I stood and would have walked away and been like, okay, next. Let's go.
different cultural upbringing.
Yeah, she would have. I'm like saying this shit, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is a lot. Like,
I've never been afraid of that with my grandmas, thankfully, but
damn, no, yeah, my grandmother
Yeah.
would have. No, I could not
No.
get away with any of this. Any of this.
So-
I see this, and I'm like envious of that kid.
white grandmas are very different.
That's extremely accurate.
So, after we walk away, Aigis realizes that she has the capability of being frustrated, and she like probes herself a little more and realizes that she's jealous because, again, Kiyoshi, the little douchebag, has warm, soft hands to hold his loved ones, but he's just ignoring his grandma.
Nice.
He is the biggest bag of douche.
Yeah, love him so much.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
So then on the 25th, you have your career readiness interview, which I had forgotten was a thing, and because like
It's
like
so much like real life.
the rumor
Yeah.
girls mentioned it like a week ago, and I was like, oh, that's a thing we have coming up. But I was so focused on like Aigis and Fuka and Tartarus that I didn't even realize. But
Yeah, I forgot about
Toriume Sensei, also known as Maya, sits you down in the office, and she says, it's important to keep in mind that this decision is yours and yours alone, which is exactly what Pharos and Igor say at the very beginning of the game, which I thought was a really like nice thing. Just like, yeah, it makes like, because what it is it's foreshadowing the choice to like fight Nyx and the things that he does at the very end of the game. So it's on purpose that it does that, but in a way it's also just like college is really important. There's nothing else you could possibly be doing right now that's more important than the college you're going to.
Yeah, it kind of still. I like this because even despite everything going on, this is still a very real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like there's like this
Yeah.
this impending apocalypse, but this academic is just like, are you going to school or not?
Well, honestly, in a lot of
No,
ways,
it's
in a lot of ways, it sucks because like you was like, so what they do in the dark hour is secret, right? No one knows about it. So if they blow off school and save the world and actually succeed in saving the world, then it's like you didn't go to school for a month. No one knows why. You're not going to get like a pass because you were saving the world. So now your life is just like screwed over, and you're not going to get into college, and you have to deal with the consequences. So it's like, well, look,
None of
we're
those
probably all going
personas
to die.
made you money. Yeah.
But in the off chance that we don't, we need to actually go to school. This sucks.
I dropped out after 2 years of college, so it wouldn't have fucking mattered for me anyway. So whatever.
Well, I guess, I mean, you know, from a lore perspective, like you're earning money from like all of these underground missions that you're doing, and by the end
That's
of the game, you
true.
have like
That's
a few million,
true.
you have like
I had-
a few million yen. So even if you don't like have like a degree, you're still like making off pretty well.
Right?
Dude, I had a money
Should've
cheat,
invested
so
that
I
in.
had all the money. So
I didn't need a money cheat because somebody, I don't remember who, I think it was some shadow I killed, gave me a coin that sold for 5 million yen. So I just did that.
Jeez. Oh my
And then I maxed all
God.
my like
That never happened to me.
I just
You just bought
fusioned
equipment.
I bought all the max equipment, and I bought all the max accessories, and then I went in and I fused all of my personas down to one to make it awesome, and then bought back the others because
So
real
here's
sick.
I
here's
had
a
a lot.
fun story about cheating. If you have the cheat to set your personas to their max stats, which is 99, they suddenly cost like 750,000
Yep,
yen
they
to
sure
take
do.
out of the out of the compendium. So I had to have a max money cheat because I had my personas maxed out because of this cheat. And so I'm like, I suddenly can't afford to merge my personas because I can't take them back out again.
Nice.
It's beautiful.
They're too
Yeah.
strong.
Yep, they were too good. And so it cost me all the money.
So, Maya says to go get Aigis because she's next in the career thing. So you go to the roof to get her, and she's lost in thought. And this is stuff that's in Fest. So this is like all of this one thing is the equivalent to the whole social link, pretty much. So she's lost in thought, and she says that she got scared in the fight with Ryoji because she felt her consciousness begin to fade, and she didn't want to not be alive anymore. She said she felt confused and embarrassed that she couldn't defeat him, but she didn't have those same feelings when that happened 10 years ago. And she says that now that she's decided to live, no one can answer her questions anymore. She's not bound by programming, and then she mentions that she was close to you to monitor Ryoji and Nyx and everything, but even though that's over, she still wants to be close. And she asked me if I'll take her with me, and I say yes because she was my highest leveled, and I didn't want to die.
Orgy mode is very useful.
Yeah.
She was my lowest level because her cheats stopped working after the whole Ikutsuki thing for some reason. So I was like, fuck you, I'm not taking you anywhere.
She's pretty useful. Although, I have a story I need to share later in which she completely ruined everything in the funniest possible way. So, hold that thought.
So we get to the 26th. Well, depending on how you played it.
Mm-hmm.
But we do run into that old lady again. She mentions that she was thinking about us and that Muley disappeared. We offer to find it, or I guess offers to find it. But the old lady says that, it's okay. Muley left in search of something, and I immediately knew what she was going to say. Because I am a cat person. I knew that she was going to say that Muley was going off to find a place to die. This is a very cat thing to do. And I appreciated that Persona included this. Like, as much as I'm like, oh my god, the cat's dying. Like, I appreciate that they were aware enough to know that, like, when cats start to get old and sick, and they know that they're, like, they have, like, this sense that they're going to die, they go off and they find a place to hide. Mm-hmm. Like, I immediately started, like, I'm getting teary-eyed now.
Oh, wow.
But that Muley came up to her and was, it was like she was coming to say goodbye before she left. And I guess, like, it is like, oh my god, Muley-san died.
And the old lady just goes through and leaves.
She's like, yep, bye.
See ya, bitches. All right. I know. Like, Ken and I were laughing over that while we were also, like, practically in tears over this cat dying. And I'm already, like, you can hear the emotions in my voice. I'm sorry.
We love you.
I love you too. I'm sorry. Like, kitties are the greatest thing in the world, like one of the greatest things in the world to me. And, like I said earlier, I have 4 of them. So, and 2 of them are getting to be really old. Like, I was told they were 6 when I got them, and they're getting to be 5. They're gonna be 16 this year. And so, I guess says, oh, you're not alone to the old lady, because the old lady had been explaining earlier, I'm alone, I'm getting older, I don't really have as many people to talk to. And the old lady says, I'll never be alone as long as there are people like you in the world. Thank you for being so kind. And that was really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I guess asks if the cat was happy and glad to be born, and asks why it was born, and my character's like, I don't fucking know.
But my favorite thing, just to reference inside jokes with me and Spiffle that go back like 20 years now, is all of your responses. One of them is, who can say?
Who can say?
Yeah. That's a Futurama thing. In the there's an episode in the later seasons of Futurama after it was canceled and then brought back and then canceled and then brought back again.
Yeah.
The Naturama episode. There's the first part of that. It's like their anthology interest, so they got like 3 sections of it, and the first section is about salmon. And at the end, oh fuck, what's his name? He plays Hermes, and I can't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Phil Lamar?
Yeah, Phil Lamar.
Phil Lamar, yes. I fucking love him. Phil Lamar is doing a Morgan Freeman impression. He says, why did they live and why did they die? No reason. That's what it reminded me of.
I love that. I mean, that's basically what the scene is saying too.
Yeah.
Because Aegis goes on to be like, what reason does life have to exist? If dying is a natural part of life, then life is cruel. And
yeah, the whole reason for life to exist is for it to die, essentially. I mean, that's basically what it is. And you know, Aegis wonders if she'll have to part with you, the protagonist. And she says she doesn't want to just pass as a human, but just to be with the protagonist for as long as possible. So, that whole part was really, really like
heavy.
That tugged it. Yeah, that of everything in the game, like the whole cat dying thing was tugging at my heartstrings the most. But I have a very special place in my heart for kitty cats. So, and yeah, the old lady like a second time is like toodaloo, and I'm just like, all right, great. You're really upbeat about this whole thing, but whatever. Okay,
she's probably owned a lot of cats at this point. She's like, cats die.
Well, her name was Cat Lady, so
yeah.
So, the next time you hang out with Aegis is designed to scare you because I only got it on the 27th. I didn't have a lot of time left, and it was a normal date with no rank up. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't think I have time to finish.
Oh no.
So, on the 28th, you actually. So a cool thing that they do is the first chunk of the month, Aegis is only available on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And starting on the 25th, she's available every day. So they really want you to finish this.
Like, just in case you still haven't gotten it, hurry up already.
Yeah. So so you hang out with her again, and we go up to the rooftop, and she apologizes for last time, where she was like, "I want to be with you." And she asks if you've ever been on the rooftop with a girl, and I'm like, I'm doing it now because that one gave me 15 points. And she's like, I'm only shaped like a girl. I don't count. And I was just like, way to be like sassy, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I see that you've discovered the sassiness emotion.
Yeah.
She says that she's worried about spending time with me because people might think we're dating, and she doesn't want to come in between me and another girl. And this is where I was like, but you already did because Yukari's mad at me. But turns out that was just me guessing at mechanics again.
Nice.
She says she often sees couples on the roof, and it hurts because she can never have that closeness. And she says she has a second goal, even though that second goal cannot be obtained, but doesn't say what it is. She says that not only am I precious to her, but she can't use the right words to tell me about it because that'll ruin everything, and she runs off. Obviously means that she's in love with you. So the next time you hang out with Aegis, she says that she's learned that parting is inevitable, and she doesn't want to part with me, but she's learned to accept it because life is a chaotic swirl, and it's a miracle for any two like-minded people to meet anyways, which is why forging bonds is a source of happiness. And she says that she loves me, and I hug her, and it's cute. Then the next time she takes me to her room, and it has like this robotic back to tank type thing in it.
Yeah.
with my favorite thing is she's a robot. She doesn't like sweat. Why does she need millions of her school uniform and everyone else only has one? But like the whole wall is her school uniform, and there's like crates of bullets everywhere. It is the best room that like
don't
you got to
worry.
see for the whole
They're
game.
not real bullets. They're blanks.
All over the game.
They're blanks.
Yeah, they don't have any stuff in them.
So she says that she used to be jealous of real girls, but she's realized that she's better than them because she can say, "I'll never leave you," and mean it because she won't die because she's a robot. And so no matter how my life will end, she'll be there for me, and I'll remain in her heart, which was really cute. Aww. So she then gives you this charred screw, which is part of her body that was replaced after the Moonlight Bridge.
She literally screws you.
Foreshadowing.
So she gives you an actual part of her because she's my little sister. She's not a romantic interest. So she
this whole time I'm like, I'm screwing a robot.
Yeah.
So she gives you the screw and says if bonds are important, she wants our bond to be the one that's most important to her. And she's she says that at the base of her neck, under her ribbon, is her most important component that has to be like handled in a sterile environment and stuff. But it's her personality matrix, and it's extremely delicate. But she wants me to touch it so that part of my DNA will be burnt into it, so that she'll have proof in her robot body that we forged a bond that's
robot
permanent.
fucking is weird. Yeah.
And
fuck that robot. Fuck that robot.
So then she asks you to untie her ribbon, and it's really cute and intimate, but not boning as much as Eli wants to talk about it.
It is very uncomfortably sort of boning, but also sort of not. And it's really interesting. I didn't think they were going to go that far in that direction.
It's really it's like really anime.
It's at least boning adjacent,
my personality matrix.
Well, so I brought up Chobits earlier. In Chobits, like the whole thing is Chi has this special button, but it can only be pressed
in her robot vagina.
And I was like, is this Aegis' robot vagina? Is it in her neck? Like,
basically.
I don't want to imagine.
She also calls it her papillon heart, which is very French. Papillon means butterfly.
That's really awesome.
Yeah,
because
I don't know shit about French.
The main character's like motif, at least in the answer, if not here, but it's a blue butterfly, which I think makes it perfect.
Well, she was in the ending cutscene, so yeah, it's present in this game.
And papillon is just like a very whimsical, very like fantasy sounding word for butterfly. Like there's a character in Sailor Moon, if you read the manga, called Heavy Metal Papillon. She could have easily just been Heavy Metal Butterfly, but they call her Papillon. It just sounds so much more like intense.
Oh yeah. So we finally make it to the promised day of the 31st, and we're all meeting up for the last time. And Yukari says that if we defeat Nyx, we'll probably still lose our memories, but she doesn't want to forget us, and everyone agrees. And we all promise to meet up on graduation day no matter what, even if we lose our memories. And Koro then is like, well, are we going to go fight some people or what? And Akihiko's like, yeah, it'll be easy, and it lets you talk to people to prepare for battle. And if you talk to Akihiko, he says, we're going to win because Shinji is fighting with us tonight. And just to skip forward a little bit, there's a part where like all of your party members like, come on, main character, we believe in you. And then Shinji... His voice also says, "I'm rooting for you too," or something, and it.
He's like, "Let's do this," and I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it got me fucked up.
Yeah. So you run into Tartarus, and Strega's on floor 258. So you run up to him, basically, and it's just Jin.
You have to go up through several floors after you've already gotten to what is ostensibly the top.
Yep. So you get there, and it's just Jin and Takaya had gone on to head, and Jin's like, Takaya's destined for greater things. Everyone's like, how do you know about Nyx? And he's like, oh, I hacked Ikutsuki's folder, and I did that. And he then says that Ikutsuki created Strega, and he won't tell us what that means, except we fight him, and then he tells us what that means. And he's a really easy fight. Like, they give you a 3-boss rush, and the first 2 fights are so pitifully easy that it is mean how hard Nyx is. So
yeah.
I loved it.
You fight Nyx, and you fight Jin, it takes like 3 turns, and he's down, and he has no new like things from the last time you fought him. You just
he's like. He says something. You talk about Ikutsuki. They're like, "Hey, you know about Ikutsuki?" He's like, "Yeah." And when he created us, and you're like, "What the fuck? Wait, what do you mean created you?" And then he's like, "Shut the fuck up. Let's fight." And then you kick his
freaking
ass.
Digimon season 2 looking ass.
right.
Really, honestly, that's accurate.
So after we fight him, he says, a long time ago, Kirijo was rounding up homeless kids and giving them superpowers so that they could investigate Tartarus. And there
like you do.
There were originally 100 of them, but the medicine to control your persona killed all but 3, which were Strega, which is
literally the plot of Halo.
Literally, Mitsudu is like sitting with the biggest face crack. She's like, oh god,
She's like,
oh shit.
She's like, I had daddy issues before.
Really, yeah,
So
She's got grandpa issues.
right. So we ask more questions, and Jin's like, I don't even care because Takaya told me to look to the future and not to the past. Then shadows show up because we've been fighting for too long, and Jin tells us to run ahead and leave him behind. But again, he chooses his own death and uses a grenade to blow himself up instead of being eaten by shadows.
Annihilation 2018.
So we fight through some more random things of Tartarus to get up to Takaya, who's on floor 262.
I ran past that shit.
I managed to have 0 battles. It was great.
I was underleveled, so I was taking as many of those green Arcana cards as I could.
Yes.
I was like, I don't want to get tired before I get to next.
Yeah, I was like, I got this.
So the first time I went up, I said that I got this. I did not get this. So we get there to fight to show up for Takaya, and he's one floor below the actual top of Tartarus, and we're like, let us through, and he's like, no, get ready, these are your final moments, and we're like, no, and he says the future is only a delusion. Only by living in the moment can you be satisfied. And we want Nyx to illuminate the world. And Junpei says, "I'm not dying, so you can have a friggin' nightlight."
Yeah,
which is my favorite Junpei-ism in the game, I think.
Yeah.
I want to highlight one more line from this conversation real fast, because I saw this line and I immediately sent a screenshot of it to my best friend Bernard, who is gay, and which is relevant. And I said, Bernard, is this how you feel whenever you're around straight people? And it's Takaya going, if you insist on asserting your way of living, then I shall do the same.
Yes.
oh my god.
And he's like, yeah, that's how I feel every day around heteros.
That's so good.
That feels pretty accurate for me.
And so then he says
Fucking
that
cissets.
so then Takaya says that everybody is gathered in wait, and we're like, it's because you started a cult, Nimrod. And so he says it isn't just his will, but the will of all people, because and so even by stopping Nyx, we were trying to aid her, and humanity knows there's no point in life, so they're calling out for Nyx. And I guess
it's
like
around this time that I was like, stop fucking monologuing so we can kill you.
right? I just want to punch you, Takaya. So I guess it's like, well, even if that's right, it's a mistake, which is why we're here. We're going to stop the mistake. And I'm like, I love you, I guess. Like, you're so good.
She's so straightforward.
She is
So
the pure
pure.
cinnamon bun.
Right? And
Really?
she says it's not about winning, it's about believing in ourselves. The world isn't so simple that one person can decide whether we all live or die. Spoilers. And even if there's no hope, we won't give up. And Takaya's like, well, if there's no truth, why do you want to die so bad? This foolishness is what I'm trying to rid the world of. So he laughs and fights us, and we kill him in about 4 hits again. And so he again asks us to kill him. I guess asks if he's scared, and he says, wow, you must know nothing about death if you think it's something to fear. You fear because you don't understand it, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. And just like shuts up. So Mitsuru's like,
You know what's funny? Because Aigis is there, and she's like, damn. You know, like she's like, shit. You know, shit.
I wanted to know.
She's like, I was really looking for the answer for that. Yeah, like that's definitely her personality with that.
Yeah, totally.
So Mitsuru's like, well, killing him has no honor, so you can lie there and wait and see what happens. So we finally make it to the top, and up in the sky something is coming, and Fuka can sense it without even calling her persona, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
So when it lands, Yukari asks if it's Ryoji, and he's like, yeah, you called me that once. And he's like, but me and Nyx are now one in the same, and like everybody starts like beating around the bush instead of just like, oh, you're death. They're all just like, you're the one who comes at the end of days, and you're the blah 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 blah. Like all just like common riddles that like I've heard to talk about death and stuff.
Just say he's fucking death.
Like, kick his ass already.
He's already called himself death.
And so he he says, "Well, if you know what I am, then why do you fight?" And Junpei says, "I just want to live."
Yeah,
Middle
pretty
school
much.
Oh
from
man.
Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, "I don't care if I die. I'm still gonna stop you." But but only Aegis's thing gets to me. Like everyone else, like, "I'm gonna fight you," and I'm just like mashing X to get through it. But then Aegis says, "It's my goal to live, but I finally feel like I'm living, but I'll give that up if that means stopping Nyx," and that like touched me. So Fuka senses
Touched
shadows
by a
coming from.
robot.
So Fuka senses shadows coming from below, so the bullpen is going to hold them back during battle. You don't get a
That we
awesome
only have 3
9-person
party
battle.
members.
I feel so bad for everybody who had to hold off the shadows while the rest of us fought Nyx. Like, our fight against Nyx was fucking harrowing. I can only imagine how everybody else felt at the end of just, like, beating away all those other shadows. I almost said beating off those other shadows. The right way to put that.
This game does not have monster breeding.
But just like having to fight that onslaught of other shadows, like that must have been just exhausting.
Or boring. If
Or
you're super
boring.
level.
Or incredibly boring.
Like
They're super overpowered.
afterward, half the team is like, "Oh my god, we just barely made it. That was crazy." And the other half's like, "God, that took forever. Jesus, we were so bored."
So, yeah, this next fight scene is hard. It's really, 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 really hard. It's
It
a
is.
Yeah, even with cheats, it took me like an hour to complete. But holy shit, the music is so fucking
Yeah.
The music
good.
kills so hard.
Oh my god.
So the fight basically is Ryoji starts with Arcana 0, the Fool, and every 3,000 hit points he changes his Arcana to the next one down the line until you get to, it's 1,500 hit points. Then you get to the last one to be the Death Arcana where you can actually kill him, but he takes half damage from everything and has 6,000, so he has 8 times the hit points that everything else has had.
And
but
he actually is hard now.
And he's actually hard now, but
to that
you've
point he's not.
wasted all of your SP, all of your healing items, all of your crap on the 13 bullshit before it. So you get to him at the end, and the first time, like, he changes to death, and I don't have any more Somas, don't have any more Chewing Souls, I can't get any SP, so I have to wipe, reload my save from all the way back on the 25th, and grind for like 4 more real-life days to be able to do it. And
So,
it was
fun
it was
fact,
so hard.
I first started doing this fight last night at around 11 p.m.
Oh man.
That's around when I started doing it.
Should have
And
tried it earlier. I'll probably share the story next time, but I took my first attempt was extremely interesting. I'm gonna have to tell y'all, but yeah, I got him on my second try.
Yeah, we'll probably go talk about like the design of it a lot more next time when we talk about like mechanics stuff. Basically, you barely eke out a win, and he says, "Wow, if people were more like you, then they would have avoided the fall." And he jumps into the sky, and a portal opens, and Nyx is there, which is a giant fucking eyeball. And when Nyx shows up, all of the people in the Dark Hour comes out of their coffins, and they start freaking out, except for the cultists, who are really excited, so excited that they fucking explode.
I just realized it's like real Dark Hours. Who up?
Yeah, and So then Takaya stumbles up to the top of Tartarus and laughs at us. Takaya says that death is imminent, but I guess stands up and is like, "Well, we're going to fight back against Nyx anyways." And then it fades to black. When it fades to black, you see all of your social links at the Naganaki Naganaki Shrine, and Natsuki's there, and it's like, "Well, I'm going to be strong for Fuka like she was when she saved me." And so you go to the Velvet Room, and Igor promises that you're still alive, and he's like, "Remember what I said about social links? I told you, dog."
Yep.
And he tells me that they're all lending me their strength, and I'm like, "Oh, this is like Goku's Spirit Bomb." And then he literally
it's so cool.
brings forth a social link Spirit
It
Bomb,
kicks ass.
and it goes through all of your social links. And I thought it was amazing that Maya's pick is Toriyume Sensei's outline, but it's filled with static. And I was like,
The game's
was
like,
like,
in case
I
you hadn't
laughed
picked
so
up on it
hard.
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So then.
Yeah, it's just really cool getting to see all the social links that you've maxed out. I love Tanaka too. He's like, why did I even think of this guy at
Yes.
this time?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
what is going on?
Also, for this next part, you unlock the new. And the funny thing is, they foreshadowed this earlier when that teacher who's all like talking about magic and it's boring. When he explains the tarot, there was one more that he explains that you never get, and I was like, oh, I guess that's not in this game. Turns out it is.
Yep.
And I have to plug my own video game here. Not plug, just reference. You get the new card, and it's like, we are the universe. We are the universe. We are the universe.
It's the world. It's like the one tarot card that you don't encounter at all, which is awesome. Like you're finding out that you are the world.
Well, they never
Yeah.
even say
whatever.
that, though,
Like-
because you can't go to your menu after this point in the
Right,
game.
yeah,
so
you
he actually
don't
calls
see it
it
as
the
the world.
universe, even though it should be
Yeah.
the world, like you're saying. But yeah.
Yeah. That's the actual card that it represents.
totally.
And that was immediately what I got out
Well,
of
it's
it.
like the
It was
totality of
oh, this is-
existence.
Right.
Yeah, so when he hands you the power of the universe, he says, even if Nyx is undefeatable, with this power, nothing is outside the realm of possibility, and your contract is now fulfilled. And I didn't notice until right now that the Velvet Room has been an elevator the
Are you
whole time. Like,
I noticed from the start that
Yeah.
it was a freaking elevator.
I saw that things were moving, but I didn't realize that it was literally like an elevator. Like, it means so many things with like Tartarus and all the floors and all that stuff, and I just ignored it. But
Sam's making up his own game.
Good job, Sam.
He's got his own headcanon for this shit.
the Velvet Room finally gets to the top of wherever it was going, and it opens, and you wake up, and you stand up on the top of Tartarus to face down Nyx, and everyone's like, all right, we doing this, but they can't stand up. So you just walk by yourself, and you float up off the ground and fly straight into Nyx's eyeball, and you land in front of this huge egg. And they don't do this very often in the game, but they do it here, and I love it, where the battle theme started playing before you went to the battle, because this final battle track is my favorite. We've already established that the previous battle track was y'all's favorite, but this one,
Oh, it's so good.
this final one, it's a like a hurtful like stadium rock version of Burn My Dread, and it's so good.
No, it kills. Yeah. And also, okay, so Nyx, the graphics in this fight are incredible. Like,
Yeah.
the Nyx egg looks cool as hell, and the attack he uses against you is honestly some of the coolest graphics I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
I do-
the camera work, it's like really abstract. It's just like weird and this glowing lattice of energy that just like
Yeah.
convalesces. It's so freaking cool.
And
I do want to say, sorry, real quick, going back to the music thing. part of the reason why Battle Hymn for Everyone's Souls, which is the Nyx Avatar song, is like that was so strong to me. I spent way more time with the Nyx Avatar than I did with actual Nyx.
Obviously.
Yeah, because you can't lose the Nyx fight. The Nyx fight takes the exact same for every person.
Right. And I like part of why I was like okay with spending so much goddamn time on the Nyx Avatar fight, is that like good music can make a really long, tedious, nigh unbearable fight feel much less aggravating. And I am looking at you, specific infuriating Undertale fight that I'm not going to mention because it's spoilers, but like there's a song from that I can still like, I can listen to it for hours on end and it's still so good, even though I spent so many like tedious hours trying to fight this boss. Like I'm freaking obsessed with the song now, and part of it is that it's incorporating those leitmotifs from earlier in the game. You know, the Nyx fight, the egg Nyx, not the Nyx Avatar, being the burn my dread. Like that's bringing you back to earlier in the game,
That's bringing you back to, well, not for Fest, but for Persona 3, it's bringing back to the first time you turn on the system.
Yeah.
Burn My Dread is the anime opening screen, so it's like bringing you all the way back to the very first thing, and it's such a perfect like button end, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Well, and also just, I mean, it's different kind of music because the Nyx Avatar song is a real final boss song, which is to say it sounds scary and dramatic. But the Burn My Dread remix, well, like, if you've played enough RPGs, you know this is the Sephiroth fight. This is the fight you can't lose. Although I will say I wasn't 100% sure, so I was still terrified. I was like, oh my god, what if I fuck something up? But like, you know that this is not a scary fight. This is a kick-ass fight where you get to win and feel good about yourself. So the music reflects that. It's not scary or intense. It's ass-kicking music. It's pump-up music, you know?
Yeah,
and
if you switch them, it wouldn't work. You couldn't like use one song for the other battle, and vice versa. It wouldn't work at all.
And you couldn't just use the "Baby Baby" song like Final Fantasy 1 would have.
Final Fantasy 1, I hate that game.
So you can't lose the Nyx fight. Each turn you just attack it and you deal like 3 damage, and it's so sad. And then it does its badass final boss move that you mentioned. The graphics were great, and I love the graphics, but they didn't do like they did with Sephiroth, where his big bad final boss move took like 5 minutes for the battle animation to finish. He's like, oh, we got to blow up all these planets just to do all this stuff for then you to be over leveled because you went and fought Ultimate Weapon, so it does like 45 damage to you. But yeah, so this one was like super awesome, but it does like 9,999 damage, but you hold on and with 1 HP left, and it even says like, oh, main character holds on for dear life or whatever, and so each turn your party is like, hey, we believe in you, here's some of our life force, which heals us a little and is what's making us like the first turn you get knocked down for 9,999. Second turn 9,999. Then this next one it misses after you get some of your life force, and then the last one it blocks for the last one. I was just like, that's so fucking cool.
I didn't get that because I was cheating.
Yeah,
it just did 999 to me, or 9999, and then I went into my Persona thing, and it was like, do this big attack, and I was like, okay, and I did it, and
because you just only had to do it one turn because you had infinite health on.
Right. Yeah, you have to wait a few turns before you're able to use it if you're not cheating.
Yeah. So it's the Great Seal. Like there's so many things, like, because I have a big problem with the Nyx Avatar fight in that it doesn't require you to be good at Persona 3. It requires you to be good at grinding, whereas like the Hanged Man fight required you to be good at Persona 3. But this final boss has all of the little like mechanic things that I was looking for in the Nyx fight, where like the Great Seal is a physical attack, so it costs HP, but it costs your max HP. If you were aware of that, if you happen to look, you would know you're going to kill yourself to save the world. So like spoilers, you kill yourself to save the world, but it's like the mechanics say it before the plot says it.
One of my favorite things about this is when you finally use the move, there's not even an animation. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you you take damage, you avoid the damage, you block the damage, and then you get healed to full, so you can use your max HP, and it seals Nyx away. After the fight, because you don't even see it steal Nyx away, it just fades to black, and then it comes back, and the party is floating through space, and Fuka's like, I can't sense him. I don't know where he is. Everyone's like, shit, why did he die? But Mitsuru's like, we were all planning on dying today. But like, statistically, one of the 9 of us was going to die.
Pretty good when you think about it.
Yeah. And Aigis says that she feels so powerless because she was trying to prevent this. And Yukari's like, fuck that. He's here somewhere. Hey, can you hear me? And then it lets you pop up a response window, which is another good mechanics bit of storytelling where you get to choose to respond to Yukari. And I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm.
Then Ryoji's voice, not the Nyx avatar, actual Ryoji's voice, says that he'll sleep once again and normal days will return for everyone, including the main character, and that the main character found the answer to life's greatest question, but it just happened sooner for me than for them. And Ryoji tells Aigis that she is a precious living thing, and somehow we all got our miracle, and the dark hour is over. And then Tartarus disintegrates, and everyone's left on the front of the school. And then main character walks out. She's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And Aigis cries. I guess they built her tear ducts.
She's becoming a real boy.
And then the moon turns from dark hour green to real world white, and we're not going to tell you what happens next. So next week we're having our big final wrap up where we're going to talk about social links. The main things that happen from here on are, besides the very end, is social link stuff. So we're going to merge all of those together and talk about the epilogue of the game, including its ending, including the answer, including our big thoughts on everything. I'll finally go on my tirade about the pacing of this game, and
I'll share a story about the final boss.
And what we're also going to do, and here's a announcement. I'll probably make it in a lot of other things in case people
I'm super excited about
this. People aren't current, but we're going to record next episode not in our recording Discord but in the general Discord, so that everybody can hear us. Won't let people talk, but they can all hear us. It'll be like we're live streaming the episode when we do it. And that morning we'll all be hanging out in the Discord and watching the Persona 3 movies, because there's movies about Persona 3. You'll have to find a way to watch them because only number 2 is on Netflix, and I'll leave it at that. However you decide to find a way to watch them.
Tuxedo Ken found a way.
Yeah, so we'll watch those. That'll be starting at like 10 a.m. Texas time to be able to finish them. I'm basically just going to wake up whenever I wake up and put them on, and we'll just talk about them, talk about stuff like that, hang out in the Discord. We'll make a party out of it, and
I'll get to sleep earlier the night before.
Now, I will say, guys, we're going to be live. So, there's been a lot of things happening in the game community lately, the streaming community. So, remember, no racial slurs. We're live.
Oh, man.
We can't cut them.
Darn. Oh,
I don't get why that's so hard.
I've never, no matter how angry I've been, there has never been even a passing thought of saying a racial slur.
I know, but even if you did have a passing thought, you would have the self-control to not, there's so many degrees.
Right.
There's so many degrees in between a normal person and saying a racial slur live on streaming. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. You can come hang out with us
Not
live.
a single racial slur.
Promise.
Michael Rodriguez will be very proud of us.
So you can hang out with us then. That'll be next Monday, the 16th is when we record it. I'll be sure to blow up our Twitter and all of that stuff. And speaking of our Twitter, If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at RPG Book Club. We also have a Patreon to help us cover hosting costs and the cost of buying these games, and that's at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. But the Discord that I talked about, there'll be a link in this description. We have a link on our Twitter. We have a link on our Patreon. Basically, just anywhere you can find us, we'll get you into the Discord where we'll be hanging out on Monday.
We're super awesome when we chat way too much.
Yeah, my wife gets mad and asks me how to turn off Discord because the computer in the office will just be bloop, bloop all
I
day
had
long.
notifications last night because y'all were having some great conversation, and I'm like, I'm literally fighting Nyx, and I have not have time for this.
Yeah, no, I've had to mute it. Like it's way too chatty for me. Also, real quick, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. That's Sailor Eli on YouTube. We're going to be doing Rogue Galaxy once it comes out. When I keep mentioning Tuxedo Ken, it's because that's my partner's persona on our YouTube channel. So look for us. We're essentially going to be the RPG Book Club official Let's Play channel, which is super exciting.
Nice.
So Tuxedo Ken's finally going to get to actually participate, which is great.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely come check us out. And we also have links to the RPG Book Club in my YouTube channel and on all my videos.
Perfect. So that about wraps it up for the week for RPG Book Club. I've been Sam Allman.
This has been Michael Rodriguez.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I've been Michael Spiffle Webbin.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.